Hi everyone, welcome back to my live feed on converting a tummy sleeper to a back sleeper. Now, I don't know who's watching and how much info you know about me or the history of me and why I started Save Our Sleep and so on, but I had a little brother who passed away from cot death. His name was Richard, and I have been passionate about trying to help parents keep their babies sleeping safely on their back to try and prevent cot death and SIDS. Cot death is the former name for SIDS, and also SUDI. So cot death was the original name for SIDS. Then it was called SIDS, Sudden Infant Death Syndrome, and now we talk about SIDS, Sudden Infant Death Syndrome, and we also talk about SUDI, the sudden, unexpected death of an infant. Now, SIDS and SUDI are two different things, and I believe SUDI can be avoided if people follow the correct bedding advice. Now, I remember many years ago when, back in I think it was 1985, I could have the year wrong, but about 30 years ago, Anne Diamond, a TV presenter who would have been a bit like Carl Stefanovic, Anne Diamond, who would have been our equivalent to Carl, on the morning show in the UK, which we watched in Ireland, the morning show, Anne's little boy died of cot death. His name was Sebastian, and I remember when he died of cot death, and Anne set out to find out why children in New Zealand were not dying of cot death as much as children in the UK and Ireland. And one of the things she found was back sleeping, and that's when people started campaigning for children to sleep on their back. Now, something that's really interesting and came out during my childhood, so I'm not really sure when it came out, but at some point during my childhood, people used to talk about wrapping mattresses. And I remember my mum and dad talking about if they had another baby after Richard, which they did do. Years later, when I was maybe 15, my mum and dad had another baby called Ian. But they used to talk about mattress wrapping, and somebody in New Zealand, now don't quote me on all of this exactly, but I think it was somebody in New Zealand, he said if you wrapped mattresses in plastic, it stopped babies from dying from cot death and SIDS. So there was this big phase of wrapping mattresses, and it was called mattress wrapping. And people went out in Ireland and bought black bin liners, and they were all wrapping the mattresses in black bin liners. And I remember this as a child and thinking it was, really interesting. And could we have wrapped our little boy's mattress in plastic, and would it have saved him from SIDS? And it was something which really interested me. And then years later, somebody tried to prove that this person was wrong. So they did all sorts of tests. Now, they thought maybe wrapping the mattresses in plastic stopped fumes from rising up from the mattresses, and they thought maybe the fumes were what was causing the cot death and SIDS, or cot death, the former name of SIDS. And someone decided to prove this. You can Google mattress wrapping and mattress wrapping research, and you'll find a lot of this info, and you'll find the facts. I'm just telling you it from my memory. But somebody decided to prove that this person was wrong. So they did all of these tests, and they proved that it wasn't the chemicals and so on being released from the mattress which was causing babies to die of SIDS and cot death and SUDI. Now, I find this really interesting, because if you were to wrap a mattress in plastic, Emma has just asked, fumes from what? Fumes from the mattress. So people thought that there was fumes in the mattress, like fumes from the glue, fumes from the foam, and they thought maybe it was something in the mattress that was coming up from the mattress and the babies were breathing it in. So fumes from the mattress. Anyway, so if you think about it, if you take the mattress and you wrap the mattress in plastic, what happens? So, when people were wrapping the mattresses in plastic, this man believed that no baby died of SIDS or cot death on a wrapped mattress. Well, I believe this is because the babies on the wrapped mattresses were warm. So if you were to take a mattress and wrap the mattress in plastic, you are going to create a hot mattress. So these parents were putting their babies down to sleep on their back on a plastic wrapped mattress. And these babies were staying on their back all night, is what I think. And I don't think it was because the fumes weren't coming out of the mattresses. I think the plastic was making the baby warm, which was stopping the baby from rolling to its tummy. And if the baby didn't roll to its tummy, the baby didn't die of cot death and SIDS. So I understand that they've done research to say wrapping the mattress in plastic did nothing, and it wasn't the reason why it was prevented SIDS and cot death. But I think if we were to do some research, can somebody out there take this on and do some research? I think we would find that it was actually the warmth it created that stopped the babies rolling to their tummies, which stopped the babies from dying from cot death and SIDS. Now, I want everybody's baby to sleep on their back with their face and head uncovered. It's the most important way to sleep your baby. But what do you do if your baby rolls to its tummy while in its cot? Puts its arms under its chest and its bottom in the air. Why is this happening? This is happening because your baby is not cozy enough to sleep all night. We don't know if it's warmth. I do know that the blankets I sell, and by the way, I'm going to hold up my Tour de France blanket and say how sad we are that Richie Port had an accident last night, but here's our Tour de France blanket for the tour. Now, all of the blankets I sell, not all of the blankets, lots of the blankets I sell have bamboo in them. This one has bamboo in it. It's a Tour de France blanket, and it's very weighty. It has the French flag. If you look very carefully, you'll see the French flag on it. I can't find it, but it's on it there somewhere. So these blankets are weighted. Now, I don't know if it's the warmth of the blankets, but if the blanket has bamboo in it, it causes weight. So yes, you can go out to Kmart and Target and all different places and buy blankets for $20 or $15 or so on. But if they don't have the same weight, they're not going to cause the same coziness, which isn't going to keep your baby on your back. So if your baby is rolling to its tummy, we need to look at, is your baby cozy enough to sleep all night? And is your baby warm enough to sleep all night? We don't know if it's the warmth or the coziness. So what happens if you have a baby that flips to its tummy? I would say, go in, look at your mattress. Make sure your mattress protector is either a cotton towel or the Save Our Sleep branded Bambi mattress protector, 100% cotton. $44.95 is how much those mattress protectors cost. It could save your baby's life to have the correct bedding. It's not too much to pay to have the correct bedding. Now, if you get the blankets with the cotton and bamboo in them, or just bamboo in them, they're going to cause a nice weight. You put your baby to bed on its back, on the correct mattress protector, which is explained in the bedding guide, or a cotton towel if you can't afford it. And if your baby rolls to its tummy, you go in, you roll it back to its back, and you add 2 more layers. If your baby rolls to its tummy again, you roll it back to its back, and you add 2 more layers. You keep doing this until you reach the maximum amount of the cotton and bamboo layers that I recommend. Now, it might be that you're doing it with cotton only, so it might be that you need to try and find some bamboo. There's a maximum amount of layers explained in the bedding guide, but this is a very, very important part in keeping your baby safely sleeping on their back with their face and head uncovered. Yes, lots of people say, my baby tummy sleeps and I tummy slept and my baby's fine and so on, but some babies aren't fine. And we don't know why some babies don't make it through the night on their tummies. It's not worth the risk. Don't risk it. It's not worth the risk. Now let me have a look. We have a question about tummy sleeping. Haley says, my 9-month-old has just started rolling to her bedding during her day sleep and overnight, and I don't know how to stop it. She's dressed in a regular singlet, long-sleeved bodysuit, a baby grow, a 2.5 sleeping bag with 15 cotton blankets plus a sheet folded over. Okay, so first of all, I'd remove the singlet because the singlet will ride up and irritate her waist. And if she has that many blankets on her, if they're a cotton bamboo mix of blankets, you say cotton, but I'm presuming you mean the Save Our Sleep ones. If you're using the Save Our Sleep blankets and she is still rolling to her tummy and you've got the 15 on her and the room's 20 degrees, there's nothing you can do. You just have to say that your baby is a tummy sleeper. If you go in and roll her to her back and then put all the layers on her and she stays in her back, great. But if you go in and roll her to her back and she actually rolls back to her tummy, then you've just got to say, okay, in this particular case, we can't do anything about it, and we need to take away most of the blankets and only use the maximum layers stated in the bedding guide for a tummy sleeper. But I would try bamboo bedding before you decide to give up. Now, I'm just going to have a look at the live feed on the phone and check if anybody else is asking questions on this particular subject. So bear with me a sec. It's very quiet. There's not very many people watching because it's school holidays. So I do understand that it's very quiet and lots of people are not watching because of it being school holidays. So let me just see. So bear with me a sec. It's very quiet. There's not very many people watching. No, there isn't any more questions. So I'm just going to go back and look because there was a lady who asked a question on the feed, the other feed about bedding. So just give me a sec to go back and check on the other video if I can work my phone. School holidays, I'm in school holiday mode. I hope you all saw my rock video about the rocks that the children have been making to put in the park, because that's a really good subject to get kids off screen time and out in the parks. Come on phone, load. Okay. So Catherine asked on the other feed, which I'm going to answer here. I have a 9-month-old and I live in Adelaide. We use your bedding guide. It's 20 to 21 degrees. We've been using the lay down approach and he goes to sleep after laying down once or twice. The problem now is he's not able to resettle himself, waking up during the night. I think he wants to be in his room and he's used to laying us back down. Okay, so that's not really a bedding question. It's more of a question on the approach of getting him to sleep. We would need to look at the whole routine. We would need to look at what he was eating, what he was drinking, Catherine. And we would also need to look at the bedding and make sure you're using it up to the maximum layers. Now, Natalie says, my 14-month-old wrestles as soon as we put him in bed. We hold him down to put the blankets on him, but by the time I walk out of the room, he's on his belly. So that's okay, Natalie. What you do is you wait until he has gone to sleep, and then you go in and you pop him on his back and you put his blankets on him then. So that's not a problem. You just wait until he's asleep and then you put the blankets on him then. Haley says, also Haley's saying that her baby flips straight over. Well, again, that's okay. You wait till they're asleep and then you put the bedding on. I have just accidentally blocked Natalie, which is not what I meant to do, Natalie. Sorry about that. I will unblock you from the computer in a minute. I've never blocked anybody before, so I'm not quite sure how that happened. It'll teach me for touching the questions on my iPad. So I can't see any more questions, but yet I know that there is some questions that have come up. Melissa says, my 8-month-old wakes between 3 and 5 a.m. and is awake for up to 2 hours. We rock him back to sleep. He feels snug, but I do not know if he's cold. Still swaddled and sleeps on his back. So I would think that your little one is cold if they're waking between 3 and 5 a.m. Melissa, are you using the correct mattress protector? Are you using up to the 15 layers of blankets? Are you using a long sleeve bodysuit, a sleeping bag and a 2.5 tog sleeping bag? If not, that could be what the problem is. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you all very much. I'll put up a link to the bedding guide and some tips. Thank you for